But what is even more serious is that during negotiations with the Russian president, I raised the question, Mr. President, can you inform us about what is happening on the front? What is the situation with the ceasefire? Why isn't there a ceasefire? I was surprised that in this part of the meeting, President Putin did not respond to these questions, but then he asked me for a one-on-one meeting. And in the one-on-one meeting, he told me exactly what had happened. He said very clearly, Mr. Prime Minister, I know that you keep pushing for a ceasefire, that this is an important priority for you, whether it's for 3 days or 30 days. But I want to tell you here, and please for now, keep this to yourself, that once you leave Moscow after the celebrations, I will make a public statement and say that I want to negotiate with Ukraine without any preconditions as soon as possible, and we will look for some solutions. And that's exactly what happened. Simply put, I had that information in advance. Again, if negotiations with the Russian side were conducted as they should be, because that's what diplomacy and foreign policy are about, then diplomacy could have already had this information and wouldn't have been caught by surprise. And I am shocked that there is a proposal for Russians and Ukrainians to meet on May 15th in Istanbul for direct talks where concrete results could be achieved. And in response, I'm already hearing statements from Germany and France that they disagree. What do they have to do with it? Isn't this Ukraine's business? Does Ukraine have some kind of spokespersons? So either Ukraine is interested or it isn't. If things keep going like this, I think the war will last for several more years. If basic things are not respected, it will last for several more years. And then let no one blame me when I publicly say and point out, Malika, that many Western countries are extremely interested in seeing this war continue. Why on earth do they not agree with the proposal for direct negotiations on May 15th in Istanbul? I am starting to not understand this. I believe that this position will change, and I remind you again that this is a matter for Ukraine and Russia. Above all, if they are interested in negotiating, let them negotiate, because Russia and Ukraine have already negotiated like this, and that was in April 2022, after the conflict began, when everything was ready, and Ukraine was ready to sign peace agreements. Then the big boys from the West came and said, no, we have to use this war to fight the Russians and hurt them. Therefore, I remind you that I consider these meetings and this trip to be extremely important. Not because I said what I said, that I would go there if anything happened. It wasn't an act of defiance on my part, but rather an opportunity to use the occasion for extremely serious bilateral meetings and negotiations, which are exceptionally important for the Slovak Republic in terms of our worldview. Nothing will change. Robert Fico will pursue a sovereign Slovak foreign policy oriented toward all four corners of the world, while respecting the fact that we are members of the European Union and NATO, and that we want to be solid and trustworthy partners in these two important international institutions. Thank you very much. It's as if I were standing here in front of you now. Oh, that's exactly how I spoke with the Russian president in the essential part. You had the opportunity to see what I said, and that it is exactly the same as it was. So now, all of you are complaining again that I wasn't at the military parade, because if I had been at the military parade, then it would have just been a military parade. I'm not 3 years old, Madam Editor, am I? So, no, I was not at the military parade. I wasn't there. I devoted myself to other things. I thanked people in the Russian Federation, and I also met with ordinary people. For example, I visited an exceptionally interesting interactive museum of the Second World War. Perhaps we could do something similar in Slovakia in connection with the Slovak national uprising. It is unique. I think that people should see it. And there were ordinary people there, because many recognized me and I spoke with some of them. Those people deeply appreciate that even other countries are able to show respect and honor for what the Red Army did from 1941 to 1945.